Sam Hamburg, author of the book Will Our Love Last, recounts this story. A young woman, call her Jane, sits on the couch in my consulting room. She is wearing a tailored wool suit and has the crisp, put-together look of the successful career woman that she is. Jane is distraught and tearful. Her long, straight hair sweeps across her face as she cries. Between her sobs, this is what she says. I don't know if I love Bob anymore, but why shouldn't I? He's the perfect person. He's handsome, thoughtful, polite, hardworking, successful. He's from a great family. I know I loved him in the beginning, I think, but now, after being married 5 years, it's different. And then this guy in the office, Jim, I know he's interested in me, and I'm so attracted to him. He's getting harder and harder to resist. He's not nearly as good looking as Bob, yet when I'm around him, when I think of him, I get this sexual rush. And when we talk, I feel so in tune with him. I think I love him, but I shouldn't. Now, a half-century ago, these questions would never have been asked. Once married, you stayed married. This is the first time in history that the form and purpose of marriage has been so thoroughly questioned. There are no clear guidelines, no compelling social structures, no religious mandates to make marriage hold. There is only the intrinsic quality of the relationship itself. We are asking new questions. What does it mean to be manly? What does it mean to be whole for a woman? What kind of love counts, just between a man and a woman or between any two persons who love? What rights do children have, and how are children best nurtured? The family is being democratized and the hierarchical model is dead. What will arise in its place? I think this might be a good time to address the question of same-sex marriage. There are people who say that gay marriage threatens the institution of marriage itself. I have never really understood that. I can't understand how love could threaten love. It's such a privilege. It was such a privilege for Associate Minister Todd Disroot and me to marry so many same-sex couples from this church when we had that window of opportunity. Many tears were shed when couples who had been together for 10 or 15 or even 20 years rushed down from the courthouse with their licenses. They walked the aisle hand in hand in their windbreakers and tennis shoes with a makeshift altar of candles and flowers pulled hurriedly from various nooks and crannies of the church. It was such a moving kind of phenomenon, and no one could question the deep love of those couples. But back to the question, gay or straight, how do you know if you've chosen the right person? Now think about our confused wife, Jane. She is not sure what love is. She says she married the right man, this man that she describes as successful and nice and from a good family. I think she's kind of bored by this guy, actually, now. Sounds like it. Maybe she just married the person that she should have married. Maybe she never loved him anyway, and now she has a crush on this guy from her office. I don't think she loves either one of these men, really. People get married for all kinds of reasons. Maybe it's time to get married. Maybe it's past time. People get married because they want to have a child, because of economic necessity, because of intense sexual attraction. Well, how can you make a sound choice? That's our question. Sam Hamburg, the author I mentioned earlier, poo-poos the answers given by most self-help books that talk about the key importance of communication, commitment, and hard work. And if you've read any of those self-help books, you've all heard those statements about those important facts. Well, marriages, he says, marriages are generally not in trouble because the partners lack communication skills. He says it's the other way around. The marriage problems cause the bad communication. As for commitment, he says, well, how much you want to stay in a marriage depends on how happy the marriage is. You can be highly committed to a marriage for reasons that have nothing to do with happiness. And then there's the hard work angle. Marriage is hard work, people say. Actually, happy marriages are not hard work. And happily married people will tell you that, says Hamburg. Paying attention to your marriage, yes, paying attention is important. But hard work? Well, no. Hard work is not something that makes people happy, and why would you marry a person if it's hard work? So what does Hamburg advise us then? He says that the key is compatibility. He says that many couples end up in unhappy marriages because they fail to understand each other. Now, they understand what the partners are saying, so it's not a communication problem, but they don't understand how their partners could say something like that. Or how their partners could possibly think and feel as they do. They are too different to understand each other in an empathic way. Mere words can't bridge that gulf in understanding. Now, I tend to agree with Hamburg, but I want to go beyond his analysis in saying what makes a marriage truly happy, what deepens it and makes it last. It's interesting to me that in one multinational study, participants revealed one element above all else that makes for a happy and enduring marriage. It's so simple. They said, loving your spouse. It's fine to say that the two of you should be compatible, but that's assuming that you're in love, that you love this person. Okay, then, what is love, you say? Well, it's hard to put into words. It's one of those things that you know it when you feel it. But I would say that when you love, that you take great delight in the other person, that other person seems special, that you want to be with this other person. In other words, the other person makes you light up in a number of different ways. You become more fully who you are in the presence of that person. That is really important. You don't become different from what you are. You become more fully who you are in the presence of that person. You laugh a lot with the person. You admire, you respect this person, and you want to contribute to that person's happiness however you can. But why get married? Why not just hang out together or cohabitate? Now, we know that more and more people are choosing that option. The 2000 census showed a 72% increase in the number of households headed by unmarried couples, though this did include same-sex partners who may or may not have chosen marriage had they had the option.